What's up, knife lovers? Welcome back to BladeStuff. My name is Chad Swindell. Today we're going to review the Kizer Sheepdog Mini. Let's do this. Hey, welcome back. Let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Today we are going to talk about the Kizer Sheepdog Mini. This knife is made in China and it is designed by Chris Conway of Sheepdog Knives. So let's go ahead and explain the process. We're going to break this review down into three different categories. The first one will be in pocket. This is where we talk about the specs and the retrieval, etc. The next one will be in hand, which is where we talk about the ergos, deployment, fidget factor, etc. And the last one, in action, is where we talk about what's the knife really made of and can you depend on it. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off the in pocket category. Let's go ahead and get this thing weighed here. Okay, coming in at 3.16 ounces. The closed length is going to be 3.5 inches. The closed width is going to be 1 inch and 7/16. Now, of course, these things matter because you're going to have this thing in your pocket. Without going too far, I want to give a shout out to my good friend Rodney, who loaned me this knife so that I could do a review on that. And of course, while I have it, with his permission, there was a chip in the blade, and we got that chip taken care of. We got a nice edge put on that thing for him. So thank you, Rodney. Appreciate you loaning me this. All right, so while carrying this, even though this is a little bit thick in proportion to the length, I did not have any problems retrieving my wallet or anything out of my pocket. So it did not create a problem for me. Let's talk about the clip for a second. So when you have this thing seated in your pocket, you're going to have about 3/8 of an inch exposed from here to the end of the blade, which is not bad at all. It doesn't really bother me. Now, as far as the clip is concerned, don't judge this clip by the looks. And maybe it was just me, but by looking at the clip, I thought this was going to be kind of a frail clip. And honestly, it's not. It seems to be a very sturdy clip and well made. It doesn't have too much of a hook here, so it's not catching on things when you have it in your pocket. And yet it is sturdy enough to keep that knife in your pocket as well. So it's actually got a pretty decent clip. In regards to retrieval, so the knife has a little bit of grip to it. It's not extremely grippy, but it's not bad. Now, you've only got, like I said, about 3/8 of an inch sticking out of your pocket. And so when you grab this thing to pull it out, I didn't really have a whole lot of problems. And honestly, those two screws right there that hold the clip in, that actually help. So you can grab right there and you don't really have a big problem getting that out of your pocket at all. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the in-hand category. The scales on this thing, they're G10 scales, and they do have some texture on the scales. Let me see if I can get close up here if you can see. There you go. So it does have some texture on the G10. In addition to that, of course, it's got these 3 grooves right here, which adds a little bit of extra texture. So even though it's not extremely grippy, I wouldn't consider it slippy at all. And so you've got a decent grip. So closed grip is not bad. It's a relatively small knife, so it's not hard to get a grip on that. So let's look at the open grip. So when you get this thing gripped while it's open, it is very comfortable, but it's not quite as secure as I would like. Big hands, small knife. I can only get 3 fingers on this guy while I'm gripping it. It is comfortable, like I said, but that 4th finger is just sliding off there, so it's not as secure as if I had, a full grip on that. And that's just because it's a smaller knife. Honestly, I'd like to try the size up from this, which is just the regular Sheepdog. I think that it would be large enough that I could get that 4th finger on there, and it would probably feel a whole lot better. So in regards to the deployment and action, right? So this is a flipper knife. So you have the flipper tab right here. It actually snaps out really quick, really easy. I think the detent on it is just right. It's not too stiff and it's not too light. It's just enough to where that's going to get a good snap out there. It does not have any other way of opening it. However, since the blade is thick enough, technically you could pinch that and open that with your fingers if you didn't want to use the flipper tab, for any reason. And you can do that, of course, with both hands. Now, as far as the shutting action is concerned, it's not terrible, but it is not just buttery smooth either. You're gonna notice a small bit of friction. It's not bad, and keep in mind, this knife retails for $69. That's really a good price for this knife. In regards to aesthetics, the blade style. It's a cleaver type blade style. Come on, that's just neat looking, right? That is a really neat design. Does have a satin blade finish. Of course, on this side, you've got the Kizer emblem there. And then on this side, you have the Sheepdog Knives logo. Blade centering is very good on this knife. All right, in regards to how this knife feels in the hand, now I need to approach this one with a little bit of caution because this knife is a little small for my liking, but I would not consider this in the frail category at all. I would still consider this a tool and not a toy. Does it have any blade play? I can feel just a hint if I really crank on it, but it's not bad at all. I'm very impressed with the build of this knife, especially for a $69 knife. So as I mentioned, this is a small knife, but it has a big sound. That is a good, solid sounding knife when you open that thing up, and that's satisfying. As far as the in-hand category, I would absolutely say this is a knife that you're gonna fidget with, because that's exactly what I've done. I catch myself fidgeting with this knife. It's a cool looking design, it's got a great sound to it, and the in-hand category gets a thumbs up. All right, let's jump into the in-action category. This is really the one that matters, right? Because a knife is a tool, and you want to be able to rely on it when you need it. And that's kind of what this category is about. So this is a liner lock. It's got a steel liner lock, and it's got good lockup on it. I've had no problems with the lock, no lock rock, as we've already talked about. The clip strength is good. The pivot type, I'm not exactly sure if this is running on Teflon or phosphorus, or what kind of washers or that we have in there. I'm really not sure, but what I can tell you is that it deploys very well. Okay, they've used 154 cm steel in this knife, which is a good all-around steel. I have several knives with 154 cm, and I don't have a problem with them at all. As a matter of fact, 154 cm was considered the best steel in cutlery for over a decade. Now that has been a while back, and there's been all kinds of other steels that have been produced since then, but it's still a good all-around steel. The blade geometry is very intriguing to me. I really like this cleaver style blade. I really do. It looks good. Aesthetically, I think it's very pleasing. It just looks neat. I think they did a really good job on the design here. As far as the thickness of the blade, that's coming in at 0.108 inches. And down close to the tip, 0.1065. So that's a pretty rigid knife all the way down the spine. Now, I do like the additional grinds here and the accents on the spine and on the tip. So that just adds a pretty neat look, I think. This knife is easy to sharpen, so it had a little chip in it when he loaned it to me, and we got that sharpened out and taken care of. Sharpened up very nicely. The choil allows you to get all the way to the end without any issues. You still have, because of the blade geometry, you still got a pretty decent little tip here, so that's great. You've got plenty of flat if you use a guided sharpening system. That way you can get it clamped up without having to worry about it, and it'll be indexed properly. And so overall, it's a very easy knife to sharpen. If you have to use a knife in an emergency type situation or whatever, you want to be able to count on it. Maybe you're a first responder, who knows? Maybe, for whatever reason, you just need to get that knife out and you need to use it and make sure that you can count on it. So the grip is still fairly solid, even though I don't get that fourth finger on there like I would like. I feel like I could use it without a whole lot of risk to myself. I'm protected from the cutting edge by the flipper tab when it comes down. It shields you from that cutting edge, and I do wish that there was a little bit of jimping on here, and there is no jimping, but you still lock into this grip pretty good, and so it's not terrible. Now, I'm definitely interested to try this size up. I think that would be the ticket for me, because this is a little bit small for me, but honestly, I'm extremely impressed with this knife. I know I've said it, but it's a $69 knife, and it's extremely well built. It looks awesome. How can you go wrong with that? Great job, Kizer. Thank you for watching our video today on the Kizer Sheepdog Mini. Certainly hope that you've enjoyed it. If you did, I encourage you, please hit the like button. It does help us out when you do that and interact with me. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And please consider subscribing to our channel. For those of you that have already subscribed, thank you very much for being part of the family. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Please consider following me on Instagram. Thanks again. God bless. See you next time. Keep it sharp.